I never thought I'd be the guy writing a story about how I got played, but here I am. My name's Mike, and for the past 6 years I thought I had a pretty good marriage with Lisa. We met in college, hit it off right away, and got married a couple of years after graduating. Everything seemed smooth, at least on the surface. We had our routines, our inside jokes, the usual ups and downs, but nothing crazy. Around 9 months ago, things started to feel a little off. Lisa started acting a bit distant, more irritable, snapping at me over small things and canceling plans last minute. I figured maybe she was stressed at work or just tired. She's always been a bitch about her job. She's a manager at some boutique downtown and makes a big deal about how much she's sacrificing. Honestly, I never thought much of her attitude. I always just tried to be supportive. Then, the little signs started piling up. She stopped wearing her wedding band as often, which she used to never take off. She'd come home late from work, claiming she had to stay late, but I caught her texting a lot. More, sometimes hiding her phone when I came into the room. I didn't want to be paranoid, but I could feel something was off. Still, I kept telling myself it was just my imagination. I mean, I'd never had a reason to doubt her before. The real red flag hit a couple of weeks ago. She went out with her friends and I dropped her off at the bar. When I drove around to pick her up, I saw her car parked outside a different bar I'd never seen her go to before. I didn't say anything that night, just felt a little uneasy. The next day, I noticed her phone was missing, which she always keeps close. I didn't want to be one of those guys who checks her phone, but curiosity got the best of me. I grabbed her purse when she wasn't looking and found her phone tucked deep inside a pocket. That's when I saw the message thread. At first I thought I was imagining things, but no, there were texts from someone named Jake, calling her babe, saying how hot she looked when she left last night and promising more sex soon. My stomach dropped. It was a clear fucking affair. The worst part, the texts weren't even discreet. It was all right there, implying they'd been hooking up for a while, that they'd planned to meet up again tonight. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever, my mind racing. How could she lie so easily? How could she betray me with my best friend, Kyle? I felt a mixture of rage, betrayal, and heartbreak. I was furious she'd been sneaking around, but mostly I felt stupid for not seeing it sooner. I had no idea she'd been cheating right under my nose, and with someone I trusted. I didn't even want to confront her that night. I just took a deep breath, put her phone back, and started planning what to do next. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding head and that sick feeling in my stomach that never quite goes away after discovering something this brutal. I couldn't focus on anything. My mind kept circling back to the texts, the lies, her face when she'd lie to me about just going out with friends. I started questioning every moment, every word she ever said. Was I blind? Did I really think I knew her? How many times had she sneaked around behind my back? I decided I had to confront her. It was eating me up inside. I waited until she was home from work. She always gets home around 6:30 p.m. I made her sit down in the living room. I didn't say anything at first, just dumped her phone on the table and watched her face drain of color. "Who the hell is Jake?" I asked, voice low but steady. She looked at me with that classic bitchy glare, like I was honestly bothering her. "What are you talking about, Mike? I don't know any Jake," she shot back, her tone sharp, defensive, but I already knew. I'd seen enough to know she was lying, so I pushed harder. "I saw the messages, Lisa. Don't lie to me. Tell me what's going on. You've been cheating, right, with my best friend, Kyle. How long has this been going on?" Her eyes flashed with anger. "Oh, come on, Mike. You're overreacting. It's just sex, and Kyle and I, we're just having some fun. It's not a big deal. You're making it into something it's not." She crossed her arms, leaning back in her chair, trying to act like she was above it all. I felt my blood boil. I mean, seriously, just sex. That's what she tells herself, but I knew better. It wasn't just sex. It was betrayal, a lie that cut so deep I thought I'd drown in it. I told her I saw the messages, that I knew she'd been lying and sneaking around. She kept insisting she was just tired or stressed out, or that I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. I couldn't believe how she could lie so smoothly, how she could look me in the eye and deny everything while the evidence was staring at her in plain sight. It felt like my stomach was twisting itself into knots. I was angry, yes, but more than anger, there was this deep, aching sadness. I always thought I was a good husband, that I was doing everything right. And she was just out there cheating, lying, pretending she loved me all along. The conversation got heated. I accused her of disrespect, of playing me for a fool. She threw her head back, scoffing, and said I was overreacting, that I was just jealous because Kyle was her friend, and I was just some guy who couldn't satisfy her anymore. That's when I saw the real bitch come out, her manipulative, bitchy side. She claimed I was being paranoid, that I was crazy to think she'd cheat on me, that she needed more than I was giving her, that I was holding her back, that she deserved to have some fun. I felt like I was losing my mind. How could she be so callous? How could she sit there lying while I was sitting there devastated? I walked out of the room after that, my fists clenched, trying to hold back the rage. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore. I also knew I had to decide what I was going to do, because I wasn't going to stay in a marriage where I was just a piece of her game, her escape from reality. That night I sat in the dark, replaying everything in my head. The lies, the betrayals. I thought about Kyle, my best friend, who I'd trusted for years. How could he do this to me? How could she? I realized I needed some space to think, to process the complete wreckage of my marriage. I wasn't going to confront her again right now. I needed to figure out if I could even recover from this or if I was done for good. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd been played, not just by Lisa but by everyone I ever trusted. And that made me wonder, who betrayed whom? The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and a creeping sadness I couldn't shake. I found myself staring at the wedding band I once worn with pride, now just a cold weight on my finger. I'd always thought that ring represented our commitment, our love. But now it felt like a symbol of betrayal, of broken promises. I kept thinking about how she'd lied to me, how she'd let us both believe in this fantasy of a perfect marriage while she was out there screwing my best friend. I decided I couldn't just sit around waiting for her to come home and tell me her version of the story. No, I had to do something. I started planning my next move in my head. I wanted to know everything exactly. How deep her lies went, how long she'd been playing me. I remembered that I'd seen her car outside that bar and I had a suspicion. I decided to follow her, see where she went after work. Maybe I was hoping to catch her in the act again, or maybe I just wanted to see how far she'd go. The next evening, I waited until she left her office early, claiming she had a migraine. I followed her car from a safe distance. She went straight to Kyle's apartment. My stomach clenched when I saw her step out of her car with her signature bitchy smirk, texting as she walked inside. I parked a few blocks away, watching through the window as she and Kyle sat on his couch, whispering, laughing, the way they used to when they thought no one was watching. That's when I saw it, evidence I'd missed before. Kyle's car was parked right outside his apartment building, and I noticed a strange, small object on the back seat. I sneaked closer and looked through the window with my phone's camera. It was my wedding band, the same ring I'd worn for years, sitting right there on the backseat of Kyle's car. I couldn't believe my eyes. She'd taken off her wedding band and left it in his car like it was garbage. My mind exploded with questions. Why would she do that? Was this some kind of sick sign? Or was she just trying to send me a message? I felt like I'd been hit with a sledgehammer. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd faint. I snapped a picture of the ring, then slid back into my car and drove home. When I got there, I didn't even bother knocking. I went straight into the house and found her sitting on the couch, her legs crossed, playing with her phone. She looked up when I stormed in, her bitchy attitude already flaring. "You lied," I said, voice trembling with rage. "You lied about everything. You're sleeping with Kyle. That's why you took off your wedding band and left it in his car. Don't try to deny it. I saw it myself." Her eyes widened for a moment, then she scoffed. "Oh, give me a break, Mike. You're overreacting. That ring, yeah, I took it off because I don't wear it when I'm with Kyle. It's just a thing. You're making a mountain out of a molehill." I didn't buy her bullshit, not anymore. I knew she was lying. She'd been lying the entire time. Her face was full of that bitchy bravado, but I saw the cracks. She was caught and she knew it. I told her I'd seen enough, that I wasn't going to be played like this anymore. I told her I was done, that I deserved better than a wife who cheated on me with my best friend and then lied to my face. She started crying, of course. Not because she cared, but because she knew she'd been cornered. She whined about how I was crazy and paranoid, that I was just jealous and insecure, that she still loved me but I wasn't understanding her needs. It was all the same shit she'd been spewing before, another lie to try and save her own skin, but I wasn't buying it anymore. That night I stayed up thinking about everything she'd said, everything I'd seen, and everything I'd felt. I realized that I was done trying to fix this. I couldn't keep living in a lie I didn't want. To be the guy who got played by his wife and his best friend. I knew I had to get out of this mess, even if it meant starting over alone. I had to find a way to move past the betrayal, to rebuild myself after all this damage. But right now, all I knew was that I couldn't trust her anymore, and I was tired of pretending I could. Over the next few days, I kept thinking about what I should do. Part of me wanted to confront Kyle directly, just show up at his place, demand answers, maybe punch him in the face if I'm being honest. But another part of me knew that wouldn't fix anything. Whatever Kyle did, Lisa was the one who chose to cheat and lie. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had to do something to make Kyle understand how betrayed I felt. I wasn't just mad. I was devastated, like someone I trusted had stabbed me in the back, and I was left bleeding out. I decided to do some digging. I started by checking her phone again, looking for more evidence, more messages, anything that could give me closure or confirm what I already suspected. I also wanted to see if there were more lies hiding. I found texts to Kyle, talking about their secret meetings, plans to meet up again, and even some explicit stuff. What really hit me hard was a message from Lisa saying, "Can't wait to finally be with you tonight," right before she left for the bar that night. That confirmed she was actively sneaking around. But the biggest shock came when I found out she had already planned more meetups with Kyle. She wasn't just fooling around, she was actively betraying me, planning her next escapade. It was like her entire life was a web of lies and I'd been the fool caught in it. I felt sick, like I'd been living in some kind of nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Then I decided I needed to see her face to face and get some real answers. I called her and told her I was coming over. When she answered, I could hear her bitchy tone, like she was annoyed I was bothering her. When I got there, she was trying to act like everything was normal, complaining about how I was crazy and accusatory, even though I had all the proof right there. I confronted her again, asked her why she was doing this, why she thought it was okay to cheat on me with Kyle, my best friend. Her response: she rolled her eyes and said I was too clingy, that I wasn't enough for her anymore. She said she was just having some fun, that I was boring, that I didn't satisfy her anymore. She told me I was just insecure and that I needed to chill out, that her sex life with Kyle was better because he was more adventurous. I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. She was so arrogant, so dismissive. Honestly, I felt like I was talking to a stranger, someone I used to love but who had become this cold, bitchy monster. I told her she was a liar, a cheat, and that I was done. I told her I was taking my things and going, that I didn't want to see her again. She scoffed again and said I was just overreacting, that I was making a scene for no reason, that I was just jealous because I'd never been good enough, that she deserved better, that she'd be happier without me, that she'd find someone else who could give her what she wanted. It was the most disgusting, dismissive thing I'd ever heard. At that moment, I knew I had to leave. I packed a bag, took my wedding ring off for good, and walked out of that house feeling like I was finally free. Free from the lies, the betrayal, the false promises. But the pain stayed. It clung to me like a shadow I couldn't shake. I felt numb, like I'd lost a part of myself that I'd never get back. I wondered how someone could be so selfish, so dishonest, so utterly cruel. And I wondered who betrayed whom, her or Kyle. Or maybe, in a sick way, we all betrayed each other in this twisted game. After I moved out, I spent days just trying to process everything. Honestly, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. The house that once felt like a safe haven now just reminded me of all the lies and betrayal. I kept replaying that scene in my mind. Her cold, dismissive face, her bitchy attitude, the way she blamed everything on me like I was the problem. But deep down, I knew the truth. She had been screwing around with Kyle for months and I'd been blind to it all. That realization hit me hard. I started to reach out to some friends trying to get advice. Surprisingly, a few of them told me I was better off without her, that she was a manipulative bitch who never truly loved me, only what I could provide: stability, a marriage, a sense of normalcy. But that didn't make it hurt any less. Honestly, I felt crushed, like I'd lost my best friend, my wife, my sense of trust. I wondered how I'd ever look at Kyle the same way again. How anyone I trusted could do this to me. One thing I knew for sure: I had to get some perspective. I booked a trip to just get away for a while, somewhere far, where I could breathe and think without the chaos of my ruined life. On that trip, I spent a lot of time walking, trying to clear my head. I realized I'd been putting her first for too long, ignoring the signs because I wanted to believe in the marriage in her. Now I saw that she was selfish and manipulative, that she'd used me, lied to me, and thrown away what we had. During this time, I also started to come to terms with the fact that I might never get an apology or explanation that made sense, that she might never admit she was wrong. That's when I made my decision. I didn't want to be part of that toxic cycle anymore. I deserved better. I needed to focus on healing myself, even if it hurt like hell. I reached out to a couple of close friends, told them everything, and started to rebuild my confidence. I realized I'd been so blinded by love, by the idea of being a good husband, that I ignored the signs I should have seen but didn't. I also started thinking about the future. Maybe I'd be alone for a while, maybe I'd find someone who truly appreciated me. But first, I had to fix myself. One day, I looked at myself in the mirror and asked, who am I now? I knew I was hurt, angry, betrayed, but I also knew I had to move forward. I couldn't let her betrayal define me. I learned a lot about trusting, about loyalty, about how some people are just selfish and only care about themselves. I realized I'd been a fool to think she'd ever truly love me, not the way I loved her. So here I am now, trying to put the pieces back together. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'll never forget this lesson. Trust is fragile, and sometimes people will hurt you in ways you never saw coming. My advice: don't ignore the signs. Don't be afraid to cut ties if someone shows you who they really are, and never let yourself be the fool in someone else's game. Because in the end, all you really have is yourself, and that's who you need to take care of the most. Looking back now, I realize that I was lucky in a way, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. Losing Lisa was one of the most painful experiences I've ever gone through, but it also forced me to wake up and see what had been right in front of me the whole time. I learned that sometimes people are not who they appear to be, and loyalty can be an illusion you cling to until it shatters in your hands. The betrayal from Lisa and Kyle left a scar that's still fresh, but it also made me stronger. I've started focusing on myself, rebuilding my confidence, rediscovering who I am outside of that toxic relationship. I realize now that I was so desperate to hold onto what I thought was love, I ignored the warning signs. I was blinded by hope, by the idea of a perfect marriage, and in doing so, I let the worst parts of her and Kyle ruin my life. What I want to say to anyone who might find themselves in a similar situation: trust your gut. Don't dismiss the little signs, hidden texts, sudden distance, the way someone acts when they think you aren't looking. Once that trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild without a lot of pain. And if someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't hold on to the fantasy that they'll change or that love can fix everything. I've learned that revenge isn't the answer, even though I wanted it at first. I thought about exposing her to everyone, confronting Kyle publicly, or even destroying their lives just to feel some ounce of justice. But I realized that would only feed the anger, keep me trapped in the past. The best revenge, I think, is moving on, living a better, happier life without them. So now I focus on healing, on forgiving myself for trusting too much, and on finding happiness again. I don't have all the answers, and I know I'll carry this pain for a while, but I also know I'm better off without her. That betrayal showed me the kind of person she really was. And I've finally accepted that I deserve someone who truly loves me, who would never cheat or lie to me. This experience has changed me, yeah. I won't be that naive guy again. I'll be more cautious, more aware, and most importantly, more willing to walk away if something doesn't feel right. Because at the end of the day, your happiness and self-respect are what matter most. And no matter how much you love someone, if they betray you like this, they don't deserve a second chance. You do.